This Chazor Zeichen Nishbach Chetz Shag Rabbi Yehuda says Chullin Daf Kuv Beis. The Bryce says Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Elazar say the Isser of Eiv Min HaChai applies to behemoths, chayes, and oifers whether they're kosher or not. The Chacham say it only applies to kosher ones. Rabbi Yehuda said they both dash in the same pasuk. Pasuk says Rak Chazak Levilti Achol Hadam Ki Adam Hu HaNefesh V'Lo Yisoichel HaNefesh Im HaBasar. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Elazar hold that there's a comparison of Eiv Min HaChai to the eating of blood to teach that any animal whose blood may not be eaten is also subject to Isser Eiv Min HaChai, and therefore non-kosher animals are subject to Eiv Min HaChai as well. Rabbanan hold that Lo Yisoichel HaNefesh Im HaBasar teaches that we may not eat meat when it has life from an animal whose meat may be eaten when there's no life. This teaches only applies to kosher animals. Why does Rabbi Yehuda need a pasuk to teach that Eiv Min HaChai applies to non-kosher animals? He should say that the Isser of Eiv Min HaChai takes effect on top of the Isser of it being non-kosher, since the Isser of Eiv Min HaChai is more stringent in that it applies to Bnei Noach. If the pasuk is only needed for the view of Rabbi Elazar, who holds that a second Isser does not take effect, even if it's more stringent than the first. A Brisa says this as well. The Brisa brings the pasuk and the respective drushes of Rabbi Elazar and the Chacham. The Brisa then says, or Meir says that Eiv Min HaChai only applies to kosher behemoths, not even to chayes or birds. Rabbi Shmuel and Rav Chizda and Rav Yosef said, Rav Meir's view is based on the pasuk written before the Isser of Eiv Min HaChai, which says, which teaches that the Isser of Eiv Min HaChai only applies to behemoths. Rav said the machlek is only regarding how to apply the Isser of Eiv Min HaChai for a yid. However, everyone agrees that a goy would be chayav Eiv Min HaChai even from a non-kosher animal. A Brisa says this as well. Rav Shizbi said we can learn this from a Mishnah as well. The Mishnah says if a person ate Eiv Min HaChai from a non-kosher bird, he does not get malchus, and shchita of the bird does not make the limb mutter to eat. Now, what person is the Mishnah referring to? We can't refer to a yid because it's obvious that shchita will not make a non-kosher bird mutter to eat. Rather, it must be referring to a goy. And it's teaching that shchita does not render the bird as dead for the goy. We clearly see that Eiv Min HaChai applies to a goy even for non-kosher animals. Zakhnamar of Moni Bar Patish asked that the Mishnah first says that he would not get malchus, which suggests Eiv Min HaChai does not apply to non-kosher birds. Then it says shchita does not make it mutter to be eaten, which suggests that it does. He answered that the first part is discussing a yid, the second part is discussing a goy. Zakhnamar Rabbi Yehuda named Rav said one must eat a kezayis of Eiv Min HaChai to be chayav malchus. The reason is the pasuk uses the verbiage of achila, eating. Rabbi Amram asked, the Mishnah quoted that we just quoted above said that one who ate Eiv Min HaChai from a non-kosher bird does not get malchus. Now, according to Rav, this means he ate a kezayis. If so, how can the Mishnah say he doesn't get malchus? He ate a kezayis of a non-kosher bird and therefore should get malchus just for that. And for the Gemara, the case would be, as Rav Nachman said elsewhere, that the limb was the size of a kezayis only when taken into account its flesh, its gidon, and the bones. All those things can only be counted for a kezayis for Eiv Min HaChai, but not for eating of a non-kosher bird. Then you just need the basar. In fact, we find that Rav says that one who eats a living kosher bird is chai for Eiv Min HaChai, even if it's a tiny amount. And for this is also where it was the size of a kezayis only when taking into account its flesh, gidon, and bones. In fact, Brisa says if someone ate a living bird that's smaller than a kezayis, Rebbe says he's part of Rabbi Elazar son of Shimon says he's chai based on a kal v'chomer. If he's chai for eating a limb, he's surely chai for eating the entire bird. If he strangled the bird and then ate it, everyone would agree that he's only chai if he eats a kezayis. Now the machlokes only seems to be in regard to whether we view the entire bird as a collection of limbs or not. But everyone seems to agree that he would be chai for eating less than a kezayis. So Rav Nachman said the case here is where he ate the size of a kezayis when taking into account its flesh, gidon, and bones. Can it be that an entire bird has less than a kezayis of meat, but there's a limb of it that has a kezayis when taking into account the meat, gidon, and bones? Shravi said yes, it can be found with the klanisa bird. It's a very, very lean bird. In fact, the Brisa said that if he strangled the bird and then ate it, everyone would agree that he's only chai if he eats a kezayis. Now the klanisa bird is a non-kosher bird, and Rav has said that one is chai for eating an entire non-kosher bird, even if it's less than a kezayis. And the Brisa is referring to a kosher bird that's similar to the klanisa in this respect that it's a very lean bird. Rav said if Rebbe holds that a person's intent regarding food is considered to have significance, if a person intended to eat the bird one limb at a time but instead ate it whole, he'd be chayiv. Abaye asked, how can it be that one person can eat the entire bird and not be chayiv, and another person can eat the entire bird and be chayiv? Rav said each person is dealt with according to his intent. Rava said, if Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rav Shimon, holds that a person's intent regarding the food is considered to have significance, if a person intended to eat the bird when it was dead, but instead ate it when it was alive, he'd be potter. Abaye asked, how can it be that one person can eat this live bird and not be chayiv, another person can eat the live bird and will be chayiv? Rava said, each person is dealt with according to his intent.